The moment my pen touched the paper, a woman I had never met whispered, "Do not sign this, or your sister will not survive the night." Her fingers closed around my wrist with a strength that startled me. Not rude, not dramatic, desperate. I looked up, confused, my heart pounding as the black ink hovered over the signature line. Around us, the ICU hummed with quiet machines and filtered air, the sound of life being measured in beeps and numbers. On the other side of my sister's bed, her husband stood frozen, his expression caught somewhere between shock and irritation. I had been told this would be the hardest decision of my life. I had driven 6 hours to El Paso, believing I was coming to say goodbye. My sister Lillian lay motionless beneath thin white sheets, a breathing tube taped carefully to her mouth. Her chest rose and fell in perfect rhythm, too perfect, like something rehearsed. The nurse earlier had said she was gone in every way that mattered. Massive stroke, no meaningful brain function, no chance of recovery. All that was left was paperwork. Victor, Lillian's husband of 22 years, had placed the documents neatly on the bedside table himself. End-of-life authorization. Comfort care transition. He spoke softly when he explained them, his voice steady, practiced, almost soothing. "She would not want to live like this," he said. "You know that." I did know my sister. Or at least I thought I did. I knew she hated hospitals. I knew she believed in dignity. I knew she trusted Victor with her life. That was why I had picked up the pen. Until the whisper. "Please," the woman said again, her voice barely audible. "Just give me 10 minutes. That is all I am asking." 10 minutes. I noticed her badge only then. Rosa Martinez, cardiac monitoring technician, night shift. Her eyes were wide, glistening, fixed on mine with something that went beyond concern. Fear. Real fear. Victor cleared his throat sharply. "Is there a problem here?" The room felt smaller all of a sudden, the air heavier. "This is a family matter," Victor continued, his tone tightening. "We are in the middle of something very difficult." Rosa did not let go of my wrist. "Ma'am," she said, choosing her words carefully, "hospital protocol requires I clarify a discrepancy before any documents are signed. It will not take long." Discrepancy. The word echoed in my head. Victor's jaw clenched. He glanced at the papers, then back at me. His eyes lingered on the pen, just for a second too long. I felt something shift inside my chest. A quiet warning. The kind I had learned not to ignore during my years auditing medical claims, when numbers told stories people tried to hide. 10 minutes, Rosa said again. "If I am wrong, you can sign everything after. But if I am right and you sign now, there is no undoing it." I pulled my hand back slowly and set the pen down. Victor stared at me, disbelief flickering across his face. "What are you doing?" I swallowed hard. My heart was racing, but my voice surprised me with how steady it sounded. "I am taking 10 minutes. I did not know then that those 10 minutes would expose a crime, unravel a marriage, and change the course of 2 lives forever. All I knew was that a stranger had stopped my hand. And somehow, I trusted her. 4 days earlier, my phone rang just after dawn. It was Victor. His voice sounded strained, but controlled, like someone reading from a script they had rehearsed in their head all night. He said my sister had collapsed in her sleep, that he had found her on the bedroom floor when he went to wake her, that the paramedics arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do except keep her alive on machines. "Massive stroke," he said. "Sudden. No warning signs." The doctors were not hopeful. I remember standing in my kitchen in Santa Teresa, staring at the coffee I had just poured, watching steam rise as he spoke. I remember thinking how odd it was that he never paused to cry, not once. He spoke in complete sentences, clear and efficient, as if he were briefing me on a business deal that had gone bad. He told me which hospital. He told me what time she had arrived. He told me that the neurologist said there was no meaningful brain function. And then, without taking a breath, he said something that did not sit right. Lillian would not want to live like this, Martha. We should prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves. It felt early for that. Too early. I asked to speak to a doctor. He said one would call me later. I asked if Lillian had said anything before she collapsed. He said no, she had been asleep, peaceful. Then he mentioned the paperwork. Just so you are not caught off guard when you arrive, he said, they may ask you to help with some decisions. You are her sister. Family matters. That was when my stomach tightened. After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, replaying the call in my head. I told myself I was overthinking, that grief came in different forms, that Victor was probably in shock. But something felt too clean, too organized. I packed a small bag and drove west, the desert stretching endlessly on both sides of the road. As the miles passed, memories of Lillian kept rising uninvited, her laugh loud and sudden, the way she hummed when she cooked, the text she had sent me just 2 nights before the call. We need to talk when you have time. I am thinking of making some changes. No context, no explanation, just that. When I reached their house in El Paso later that evening, Victor was not there. The place felt staged, like a model home, every surface spotless, no signs of panic, no overturned furniture, no broken glass, just a faint chemical smell lingering in the master bedroom that I could not place. I went to her nightstand instinctively. Her phone was gone. Victor said the police had it. That night at the hospital, he hugged me when I arrived, his arms stiff, his chest barely moving. He led me straight to the ICU, talking the entire time. About doctors, about prognosis, about how strong Lillian had always been. He never asked how I was holding up. And when I stood beside her bed for the first time, watching the machines breathe for her, I noticed something else. Lillian did not look like someone who had been fighting for her life. She looked like someone who had been carefully put to sleep. I told myself it meant nothing. But 4 days later, standing in that ICU with a pen in my hand and a stranger whispering for me to stop, every word from that phone call came rushing back with new weight. Some calls change your life because of what is said. Others change it because of what is said too smoothly. And I was beginning to understand which kind I had received. The next 2 days passed in a strange, suspended haze, as if time itself had slowed inside the ICU. Doctors came and went, always polite, always calm. They spoke in careful phrases, full of soft certainties and clinical distance. Severe neurological damage, no meaningful response, poor prognosis. But every time I asked to see detailed imaging or EEG reports, I was told they were being reviewed or that the attending physician would explain later. Later never came. What did come, again and again, was Victor. He was always there when the doctors examined Lillian, always standing close to the bed, one hand resting on the rail as if claiming it. He answered questions before anyone else could. He finished sentences that were not his to finish. When one neurologist asked whether Lillian had any prior symptoms, Victor spoke immediately. No headaches, no dizziness, perfectly healthy. I watched the doctor nod and move on, never looking at me. Then there was Naomi. She appeared sometime late on the first night, gliding into the room like she belonged there. Tall, impeccably dressed, her hair always perfectly arranged, even at odd hours. Victor introduced her quickly. "She is here to help us through this," he said. "Patient liaison." I waited for a badge. It never came. Naomi stood too close to Victor. She touched his arm when she spoke, leaned in when she whispered. Once, I caught them exchanging a look that had nothing to do with grief and everything to do with coordination. When I asked what agency she worked for, Naomi